Welcome to the Hockey Writers Chicks and Sticks, a weekly show hosted by some of our best female hockey writers, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From talking hockey with NHL personalities to tackling the latest big issues, our team covers everything hockey and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some Chicks and Sticks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 32 of Chicks and Sticks, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. My name is Melissa Boyd, and I'm once again joined by my partners in crime, Kristy Flannery, Hannah Garfield, and Mariah Stark. How are we doing tonight, ladies?
I think we're all really tired, but we're here.
Yeah, I know. It's a very it's a low energy vibe tonight.
Yeah,
but that's okay. Hopefully, our topics will get us a little animated here.
I'm sure I'll get heated about something. I always do.
Yeah. And you're good. You have a nice beer there. You'll be fine. It's all good. Just before we start, I wanted to let you all know that this week's show is being brought to you by The Morning Skate, which, as I'm sure you know, if you're a regular watcher or listener of the show, Kristy is a proud contributor to. It's a daily newsletter delivered to your inbox Monday to Friday, jam-packed with the best hockey stuff on the planet. Daily dose of your latest NHL rumors, history, funny, all kinds of funny stuff, quizzes, you name it, it's in there. It's just a little fun and hockey information to you brought every day of the week from the Hockey Writers. You'll see the link in our show description on YouTube. So it's been another busy and newsy week. It feels like there's always something every day coming out. So we have lots to get to. So let's get started. We'll start with our traditional team updates because I know that all of our teams have been quite busy over the last little while. So we'll have to get you all caught up. Hannah, we'll start with you in Boston.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, the Bruins retired Willie O'Ree's number, which was a really great ceremony, and then nothing else happened after that. there was just a wonderful ceremony for a guy who super deserved it, and there was no hockey game that was played. None at all. But yeah, no, the Bruins have, they had as any week, they had their highs and their lows. They're continuing to play a ridiculous amount of games in a small amount of time, which is such a contrast from the beginning of the season where I felt like every team update, I was saying that they hadn't played in like 5 days. And now it's like, oh no, they have a game every other day. They're playing tonight right now against Washington, who they beat very handedly a couple of days ago. So we'll see how that game goes. And as we all know, they lost horrendously to the Canes on Tuesday, 7-1. But again, high point, Willie O'Ree's number retirement was a really nice ceremony. And I think he had a wonderful speech that I really, really enjoyed listening to. Made me tear up a little bit, honestly.
He really did. And it's too bad he couldn't be there in person. But yeah, his speech was unbelievable. It's funny, you're talking about the pack schedule. The NHL released the revised schedule for February. And so the Ottawa Senators, who I don't think have played in a month, it feels like, will play 50 games in 100 days. That's a game every 2 days.
The NHL schedule is fucked.
Gonna go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's as accurate as I can describe it.
Yeah. But hey, they're going to finish on time, they say. So, Kristy, is dressed the part tonight.
I am.
I wonder what team you're going to be talking about.
Well, let's see if we can put a positive spin on this. The Devils suffered their third consecutive loss last night. I was at the arena, and it was probably one of the most bizarre games I've ever seen in person. They battled, well, I don't even know if they battled, but they faced the Arizona Coyotes, and they came out really great in the first period. The shots were 12-1. Arizona did not get a shot on goal until the last minute of the first period. So they went 19 minutes without a shot. Devils had a 1-0 lead going into the first intermission. And then much like what we want to do with the NHL schedule, it just kind of blew up in the second period and the team lost 4-1 because the Coyotes scored 3 goals on 7 shots.
Yeah,
yeah, it was the best part was, I have to say though, when we were in the media room, Nico Hischier came to the podium, and listen, it's never easy, especially for a kid, to have to go up and explain a loss, because I'm a firm believer is you win as a team and you lose as a team. This is not LeBron James going out and, you know, like I say, like scoring all the baskets. And he was so frustrated. At one point he cursed and he immediately apologized, which I thought was the cutest thing. And then after his segment was done and we were done with the questions, he was leaving the room and he apologized again to Amanda Stein for cursing. So Nico Hischier, man of the people, good guy.
we appreciate it. Yeah,
we appreciate Nico Hischier.
Yeah, for sure. He knows his manners. Good for him.
He does. Good for him.
The show loves Patrice Bergeron, and we love Nico Hischier.
Yes.
And Dawson Mercer. I'm just going to shout out.
Dawson Mercer. There you go. Mariah, how are things in Minnesota?
Oh boy. So they were on a winning streak that was stopped by the Avalanche, of course, the team that I made such a bold prediction about at the beginning of the season. I didn't get to watch all of it, but I did hear there was a very controversial call of no goal, and then it was reversed, and there were some very unhappy people. I watched the replay. I can kind of see it both ways, but I tend to obviously lead towards my bias of the Wild. But
no, get out of here. You're biased.
Yeah, not at all.
Get out of here.
Apart from that, they had Kaprizov back. They still had Boldy. Boldy's been playing outstanding. Supposedly tomorrow and Saturday we can get Eriksson, Spurgeon, and Talbot all potentially back, which would be great. And if we get Spurgeon back, that'll be on Hockey Day Minnesota on Saturday, so that'll be huge. Cool. And it's a back-to-back with Chicago, so we're gonna see how everything goes and get to see Fleury. For every other team has seen him, but apparently the Wild hasn't yet this season.
Yes, another player we like on the show, the one and only Flower, Marc-Andre. Well, busy week in Montreal. They have a new GM finally, new general manager, the 18th in team history. Exciting times. Probably not the how should I say, the sexy choice that all the fans were hoping for, because there were a lot of well-known names on their list of candidates. But they ended up choosing Kent Hughes, who was a prominent player agent to one of his biggest client is probably one of our favorite players on the show, Patrice Bergeron. Mm-hmm. And he's a Montrealer from the West Island, and he's been living in Boston for a while. So we got to meet him for the first time yesterday. Made his first, it's funny, people are like, I don't even know what he sounds like. We rarely know what he looks like, let alone what he sounds like. So it was really nice to hear from him. It was really refreshing, actually. You can tell he's a brilliant hockey person who's very well respected. And it was really nice to hear what he sort of had in mind with the team, and that he's going to have a modern approach to building the roster. And so again, much needed. And I think a lot of fans were really impressed with his first impression. So they always say it's important to leave a good first impression. So now the fun begins, because we'll see what he's going to do and what kind of changes he's going to make. So that'll be fun. All right. So our topics this week, we'll start with, well, it's been a hot topic for a while because they've been losing for a while. And it's like, urgent city in Edmonton right now. Mm-hmm. The sky is falling. And there are a lot of, people who have, opinions about what needs to be fixed with the Oilers and how they can turn this around and not waste the prime years of their two superstars, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So I wanted your takes on it. What do we do with the Oilers? Do you just, again, go like we've been doing? Or is there a fix that can be done to at least get them back on, being competitive or at least making the playoffs, because right now they're in danger of missing the playoffs. Kristy, we'll start with you. How do you fix the Oilers?
I think the sky is going to be falling in Edmonton until Connor McDavid gets a Stanley Cup. I don't like if he doesn't get a Stanley Cup, it's just they're always going to be in that urgency to make sure he gets it in his prime years. We've talked about this before. I don't think that adding a forward like Evander Kane or anybody else at the trade deadline is going to really help this team. They really need help on the back end. I mean, I guess it's a toss-up if you need a goalie or a defenseman. They need one. And the thing is, when you look at that team and the standard the expectation that's so high around them, it's like you need both. You really do. You need a defenseman, another solid defenseman, and you need a goaltender. And until they get both of those things, the Oilers are just, I don't know. It's a team sport. Connor McDavid can't win a Stanley Cup on his own. So
yeah,
they need to be very active at the trade deadline if they're serious about jumping in, because there's a lot of surprises in the West, including San Jose and Anaheim. So there is competition that wasn't really there the last 2 years.
Yep, for sure. Mariah, what do you think? How would you go about fixing the Oilers?
So I actually researched this afternoon for this question, and it drove me nuts. I'm like looking at this line, and like the Wild, obviously I'm so familiar with them. I can like picture who to put where and things, like what I would do. This team, I don't know. Like with McDavid, Draisaitl, all those guys, I don't understand, and I haven't watched them enough to really. I agree with Kristy, the defense and the goaltending. I just haven't watched them enough to fully understand their dynamic, other than they have the best power play in the NHL. And they're still, which I know the power play obviously is not going to win you games all the time, but it can help. And I don't know. I just, looking at their lineup and things, it seems like they move their lines around a lot too to try to find certain combinations that work, and I just don't know if they have wings to work with McDavid or what the deal is. Like I said, I haven't watched them enough, but I'm just gonna use this again. It's just
their roster structure is definitely a bit flawed. There are big holes because of their two big players down the middle. They've had a hard time filling sort of the holes. So often they end up having them on the ice at the same time, and so then that takes away all the offense from the three other lines. And
but it's a big red flag if you can score like 3 or 4 power play goals a game and you're still losing.
Yeah,
like I can't think of a bigger red flag.
Yeah,
than that.
And we all know that come playoff time, penalties don't get called at the same rate as during the regular season. So you're playing a lot more 5-on-5 hockey. So we'll see. Hannah, what is your magical fix?
I think Kristy and Mariah both nailed it on the head when they said that this team is a mystery. Like the fact that they've had the same issues for several years now. You have McDavid, you have Draisaitl, you have Darnell Nurse on defense. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins he's had some up and down years, but largely has been a pretty good forward for them. And they cannot build around them. And they can't get pieces, at the trade deadline, any free agencies, nothing is working. And it's not just coaching, because they've had coaching changes, and it's not just the GM, because they've had GM changes. I think it comes down to is what's going on in that locker room. I know we've touched on this show before sometimes that maybe players are made captains too young, and it kind of becomes a competition where it's like, oh, Sidney Crosby was a captain as a 20-year-old, so we got to make Connor McDavid a captain as a 20-year-old. And maybe that wasn't, again, this is all conjecture because we don't know Connor McDavid, we don't know the locker room, but maybe that's somebody who wasn't ready to take over the captainship, but just kind of had it thrown on them. And then maybe they really need to be taking a good hard look at how they're developing players. So I think that's a big thing, is that the championship teams, you look at like a Tampa Bay, yes, they have their superstars, but they have their players that they developed in their system who come up. You have your Yanni Gourds and your Anthony Cirellis, people who come up in their system and are on cheap contracts and can fill in those gaps. And the Oilers do not have that pipeline at all. I can't think of any, prospect outside of McDavid in the last, McDavid came into the league in 2015. When was the last time they had another? Has there been another prospect since then that's been consistent? We had some news about Kyler Yamamoto at points where you're like, oh, maybe he could be good, but that hasn't really been working out. We've heard about Evan Bouchard on defense. Again, I don't see where he is. It's just I think their biggest problem is that there's something in their pipeline and in their development system that's not working. So they're not getting the pieces around McDavid and Draisaitl and Nurse.
Well, can I ask 2 questions? The first is, can the average hockey fan name 5 forwards on the Edmonton Oilers? Because I feel like once you get past the 2 superstars and like Ryan, I feel like there's a struggle to name the supporting cast. Whereas in Tampa, you had that third line where everyone knew who Coleman, Gord, like everyone knew who they were. And I feel like that's a problem because nobody knows those people in Edmonton. And my second question is, how big of a loss was Adam Larsson? Like, do you think if Larsson remained with the Oilers, do you think they'd be in a better position than they are right now?
Yeah, well, I think I remember when that happened. First of all, everyone was shocked that he went to Seattle. Like everyone was convinced, like, because they had discussions that, okay, he's coming back to Edmonton. And I agree, like I know some of our Edmonton Oilers writers, like they were very upset about it, that he left. Yeah, it's a big piece. And I know there were other issues for him around, playing in Edmonton and whatnot. Maybe not the ideal market for him, but still, it's a huge loss.
I think a thing like Adam Larsson leaving the team, I think it gives more fuel to questions of what's going on in that locker room, that a player doesn't want to stay on the team with the best NHL NHL player in the league. What's going on? That, obviously Edmonton's a tough market, but is there, I don't think it's out of the like realm of possibility to start questioning like what's going on with this team.
Well, I will say I wrote an article about Adam Larsson maybe a month and a half ago, and he did do an interview and said that the reason he left Edmonton was because that's where his father passed away, and it was a completely personal reason. And he said that if it happened in New Jersey, he would have left New Jersey. He said, I needed a fresh start. I think it was more that. There might have been other contributors, but in the interview, it made it seem that it was really, that was his decision, that made his decision to leave, was he just didn't want to deal with, I guess, the personal stuff that happened. And he just needed a fresh start, I think, just on a personal level.
Yeah.
And then ignore me.
Well, listen, we don't know. We don't know. And you don't know. A player's not going to sit down and trash like their former teammates and a lot, like they're not going to do that. Even if it was a factor, they're not going to do that. So you could be right.
And regardless, I mean, it's a big loss. Like it's a big hole that they did not fill in the offseason. Because I'm sorry, Duncan Keith does not play that role, does not, fill those shoes. He does other things, but not what Adam Larsson does. And same thing with Cody CC. And I think your point about the prospect pipeline is very good because actually I think there was an article just published on the Hockey Writers today or yesterday or something about how they have to stop giving these multi-year contracts to veterans who are past their prime. But they're doing that because there's nothing coming up to fill those spots. So like they mentioned like Kyle Turris, obviously Mike Smith in goal. So yeah, like they have to do something about their player development. So
I mean, Bruins are in the same place, so that's why I feel like I can say that, because I'm like my team's literally in the same place.
So are the Habs. So yeah.
Well, and I don't know how big of a piece he was. I was just looking at his stats, and he does have quite a bit of numbers. Nugent Hopkins has been out since New Year's.
Yeah.
So I mean, does he get kind of overshadowed by McDavid and Draisaitl?
He does.
Is he a bigger piece than people think?
Yeah, he definitely does, and he actually gets a lot of unfair criticism, in my opinion. He's probably their best two-way forward. Like I would take him on my team any day, but I think he does get overshadowed and then people expect him to do more. But they have definitely missed him for sure, and I think he is back or is on his way back soon. Anyway, so we'll see if that makes a difference for them. So there's no, but if you are an Edmonton Oilers fan and you are watching the show, make sure you check out Oilers Overtime because they do a great show every week. And let me tell you, do they have opinions about they always have lots to talk about. So before we go any further, just a reminder that if you're not signed up for the Hockey Writers Morning Skate, please do so at morningskate.io. So you're not missing the best daily hockey newsletter on the planet, delivered every day, every weekday at 8 a.m. sharp to your inbox. Be the first in the know. All right. So last week we did a pick one segment with Trevor Zegras and Moritz Seider. And this week I thought we'd do another one with another tough choice. I apologize. And two other superstar players that are young but are exciting and really, really, really good. So they are Cale Makar or Adam Fox, the reigning Norris Trophy winner. So which of these two players would you pick to, anchor your defense core? Mariah, we'll start with you.
I feel like I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, and I'm probably going to be the only one that picks him. We'll see. But because I know we have some Rangers fans that won't watch the show. But I'm going to go with Cale Makar. I've been a fan of his for a long time. Yes, he's an Avalanche, and I'm not a fan of that team. But I like watching him play. He's a good defenseman. He's 5 points behind Fox, but he also has 7 less games played. He's got more goals scored, but I mean, I don't know. I just like watching him. He's a scoring defenseman, and I went with him being the odd one probably.
I don't think you will be. I have a feeling. Kristy, how about you?
This is so hard. They're the same age. They're the same height. They're basically it's so hard. The only thing I would say is I feel like Fox doesn't have maybe the necessary support that Makar has in Colorado. So that I feel like in my head that kind of gives him an edge because it's not like he's depending on like a lot of, he doesn't have McKinnon that's gonna, be out there and helping him and make him look maybe not better than what he is because he's a very good defenseman in his own right. Oh God. I guess just to be different than Mariah for once, I'll go with Fox. Just to be different. I have no reason. I would take either one in a heartbeat, but for this argument, I'll go with Fox.
It's funny that we're struggling. Like he's the Norris Trophy winner, and we're like, I don't know, man.
Well, that speaks volumes for what we think about the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah.
It just goes to show you how good Cale Makar is.
Yes.
Hannah, who would you choose?
I would choose Cale Makar. I mean, I don't think you could go wrong with either option. They're obviously, like Kristy said, they're same height, same age,
same weight,
similar in points. Like they're both very, very talented defensemen, and Colorado and the Rangers are both just very, very lucky to have them. I give Cale Makar the edge just because I like him better. He, a good old UMass boy, not one of those Harvard guys. Like, let's go with the UMass. Or also the Adam. I've mentioned on the show before, I have a soft spot for the Canes, and the whole thing with Adam Fox, where he's basically like, I'm only gonna sign with the Rangers, kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, I all the power to you. Like, you want to play for your hometown team, sure, but I don't like the Rangers, so and I like the Canes, so I'm gonna go Cale Makar here.
Good reasoning. I feel like a lot of players say that I want to play in New York for the Rangers. I guess
I don't get it. New York, Boston's better.
I guess New York isn't it.
Our reasons are so bad for this. It's like, well, he's, good hometown boy. I'm like, oh, it's our apples and oranges for this one. There's no real reason.
They're so similar that it
They
is
are.
like those little things where it's like, okay, I think I want Makar.
Yeah, I agree. I am with Hannah. I like Cale Makar, but also for the same kind of reason. It's like, I don't know. I just listen to him like every time I see him or I listen to him talk, like he's really engaging.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be a great star for this league for a long time. Just the way he speaks and the way he carries himself and, stuff like that. And I mean, I don't know, that overtime goal against Chicago, and he also had another one just recently. I mean, I think I've watched that like 100 times, like unbelievable, like that a defenseman no less can do something like that. And just the way that he, with how he uses his edges and everything, like to keep the puck on the blue line, like it's just whoa, and he's only going to get better, which is amazing.
If the Rangers ever, once the Rangers make the playoffs, like I think there's also like Adam Fox doesn't have, like Cale Makar has much more playoff experience than Adam Fox, which I also, so like you kind of see him more in that pressure situation. But again, that's like Kristy's point, Adam Fox has less of a team around him than Cale Makar does.
Although the Rangers are having a good year this year, so.
Yeah, we can credit that to goaltending. That's a whole story for a whole different day.
I guess I'll have to put him in. I'll pick one of these days. Young girl goalies or something.
The one that the name I can't pronounce.
Yes, we just call him Igor.
Just Sturkin.
Yeah.
Just say Igor. Okay. So last week, if you tuned in, we shared our favorite jersey stories, and so I wanted to go a little bit similar, since it seemed like we got quite a good response from those. So you guys like to hear about our personal side, which was really fun. I wanted to know, and I wanted us to share how we got into hockey and why we love it so much. Because I know everyone has a different story, and it's always fun to hear those. So Hannah, tell us your hockey story.
My sophomore year of college, my spring semester, I got a concussion playing rugby. And if you haven't realized, I get very heated when we talk about like head injuries and concussions, because I think, well, when I got my concussion, it really like took a toll on me and really like, lost interest in like all the things I was doing, like didn't really want to do anything, but basically just went to class and then would come home and lie in my bed and do nothing. And I was like, okay, I was just remember like one day being like, okay, you need to do something. Like you can't just sit here. You can't just lie here in the dark. It's 3 p.m. Like do something. And so I just like went on YouTube and somehow found myself going down the rabbit hole of hockey highlights of all things. And then started tuning into games, and like, it just became a lot, like really like motivated me to help get through the semester by like, oh, like I'm going to just do a huge deep dive for the next 2 months on hockey and watch like, I watched everything that was on YouTube that there was. It was like all the videos of like look at all the good things players did on ice. Like look at them, like look at this cute off ice content. Like watch this, and like here's some fights. Like I watched everything, and I was like, oh, I'm a hockey fan now.
Yeah, that qualifies you as a hockey fan. It should also be known that Hannah is also a big figure skating fan, so the connection is, obvious. So she likes. I just
like watching skating. I think it's so cool that people can skate because I can't.
Yeah.
So I just think it's so cool.
Agree with that. Kristy, how about you? What's your hockey story?
I again don't have that great of a story. My friend.
Wait, we have to tell you. Wait. Oh yeah, wait. So remember last week? I'm so glad I remembered this. Last week, Kristy made a, call out, because she wanted a particular New Jersey Devils jersey, and actually, one of our awesome viewers had one. for her. So can you tell us a little bit more about that, Kristy, before you get into your...
Oh God. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. It was one of those things where it's been on my wish list for a long time. But again, if we watched last week, we learned that I am very cheap and I don't buy jerseys. So I did not really believe that I was actually being sent a Jack O'Callahan jersey until our viewer basically said, done. So I have not received it yet, but I did tell him that once he does, that will be my uniform for the show. So from here on out for 2022, I will be in a Jack O'Callahan jersey once it is sent to me. I still can't believe it. I don't think I will believe it until I actually have it in my hands, but it was a very crazy start of my day that day. So thank you. I will, yeah, thank you. Oh my God. I don't even know what's happening.
See, social media is good for something. Not all bad.
Yeah.
Sorry. So
no, it's okay.
So on we go. Tell us your hockey story.
To my really boring hockey story. I don't watch any sports. I think I've said that before. I don't like any other sport. And my old coworker, who was my friend, she left the store we were working at. I was, I don't know, high school, early college, and she put on Facebook that she had an extra ticket to a Devils game because she grew up a Devils fan from her parents. And I think I messaged her and said, hey, I'm sure there's some guy that you're trying to like get a date with, and that's totally cool. But if you don't have anyone to go, I'll go with you. And then I went. And the only thing I knew about the Devils at the time was that my friend from high school babysat John Madden's children. So John Madden was the only player that I knew because of his kids, Tyler and Reese. And that was literally it. I saw it once and I was hooked. And now here we are as a credential writer. It's been a whirlwind.
Wow.
That's my story.
That's a good story. What's wrong with that story?
It's just, well, there's like nothing there. It's not even like I had any interest in the team. I'm just like, all right, I'll like throw on some heels and go walk around an arena. Like, why not? And now here we are on Chicks and Sticks with a jersey getting mailed to us. Dreams do happen, kids.
Yes. Dreams do happen. Don't give up. Don't give up. Mariah, I think you probably have a good hockey story.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, born and raised Minnesotan. I mean, kind of have to.
In your blood.
Literally. I mean, I played growing up. I started at the age of 5. I had skates on, and my cousins on one side of my family, all of my cousins played hockey. One is 10 years older than me, and I literally worshiped the ground he walked on. I wanted to be just like him growing up, so I had to play hockey. I don't know how excited my grandma was about it at first because I'm the only girl, but everyone in my family, it was just, that's what we do. It's hockey, and it's kind of a special thing to me now growing up playing because my grandparents on the non-hockey side basically learned hockey so they could come watch me play. And with my grandpa passing last year, having that tie is a really nice thing. And I also I'd have to ask my parents, but a distant relative in the Hockey Hall of Fame as well. So I don't remember the whole story. So we went to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Minnesota, and my parents like, oh yeah, so-and-so is on something. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I mean, hockey's my life apart from a few other things, obviously, but born and raised, played, still play. There was no other path for me.
Good one. See, I knew she did. I knew she had a good hockey story.
And now we end with the Canadiens. So I'm like, this is gonna be great. Yeah. I love the order that you did this. It was very smart.
Yeah.
Mine's not
newest to oldest.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's not like super like exciting. Is I got into it, I guess. Well, so the Canadiens last won the Stanley Cup in 1993, and I just remember I was like 9 years old, and it was like I just remember it being like the biggest thing. Like that's all anybody talked about anywhere. Like you go to the store, oh my god, like they're in the Stanley Cup. And I watched a little bit of it, but like not really. And I have an uncle who is like a diehard Canadiens fan, and he sort of talked me through it and explained to me what a big deal it was, and introduced me to all the players, like Patrick Roy, like this is who he is, and Patrick Roy and all this. So And they played Wayne against the LA Kings. So Wayne Gretzky, like, this is, he said, this is the great one. This is the best player. And okay. And I, naive that I am, thought this happened all the time. The Canadians win the Stanley Cup all the time. Well, they used to, but they haven't won since. So I guess it's my fault. I became a fan, and then they haven't won since. But that's, like, I'm a bit like Hannah and Mariah too, where you just kind of I just started diving right into it. Like, okay, and I just became obsessed with the team and the history of the team. And I wanted to learn everything about all the players. I didn't even really care about the current players. It was more like I wanted to learn the history, and I got a bunch of books and magazines, and I would read about that. And then, it just becomes a part of you. Like Mariah says, like, it's just who you are. And so that's me. And I feel very fortunate that I was able to visit the Montreal Forum and see a game there before it closed. That was like really special, because that's literally like the hockey mecca. And so I feel very fortunate that I was able to do that. And I'm like Kristy too. When I was younger, I was able to do a few stages, internships, and which allowed me to go to be to go to the Canadiens. And so I've been in the dressing room and things like that, and interviewed some players. And so just being in that dressing room as well was like, you still remember like it happened yesterday. And it's just the history of the team that is just so that it's amazing. And people kind of get upset when we always talk about it, and it's like, oh, you guys always like sit on your laurels kind of thing, and no, like, can you stop? I'm like, yeah, but it's just because it's so cool, and like so many amazing people played for the team. And anyway, that's my story.
You can't compete with the Montreal Canadiens. That's really what it
no, like,
No.
it's, and it's funny because, we, like, as a fan base, we're very, very hard on the team with reason, because of all the excellence that they've had. But like, we're so lucky that we have this. And you just saw it even just yesterday with the introduction of the GM and like how they did it, and just hearing him talk, like he was, getting choked up even, like you just realize like, man, this is like a huge deal. Like, and everything is a huge deal. It's like we're introducing the general manager, and it's like everywhere. It's, you can't turn the channel TV on and it's not on. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, everyone's talking about it. So yeah, the Canadiens are Montreal, and it's pretty cool. All right, that wraps it up. That was good. Thank you, ladies. That was cool. So that's all the time we have for this week. Unfortunately, we'll be back next week with more fun stuff. I'm sure it'll be still busy. And the Olympics are only a couple of weeks away. So yahoo! Yeah.
I feel like I just made the creepiest face. I love the Olympics.
Yeah, same here. But Winter Olympics, like, give it to me, all of it. So lots going on. Thanks as always for watching and listening. We really appreciate it. And in case we haven't convinced you with our first two plugs, please sign up for the Morning Skate newsletter. You'll get all kinds of amazing content on it. I read it every morning before I do anything. It gets me in the right frame of mind and gets me in a good mood. So please do the same. Again, it's at morningskate.io. We'll see you next week.